Now, here's the uncomfortable bit. Most founders know that they need to do this. They've known for a while, and they haven't done it. Not because they don't have time, but because there's something quietly satisfying about being the one who can close, right? Being the rainmaker has status. It has identity wrapped up in it. There's a version of every founder who, on some level, doesn't want to hand this off, because being the person who wins clients is part of how they think about themselves in the business. And I'm not saying that's wrong. It's completely understandable. But at some point, that identity becomes a ceiling. So you've hired someone to help you grow your business. You've given them a login to the CRM, you've introduced them around the team, and you've even sent them a few of the leads that you've been working on. But 6 months later, the pipeline is still thin. Conversion rate is down, and you're quietly wondering if you've made the wrong hire. Now, the truth is you probably made the right hire, but into the wrong system, or more accurately, into no system at all. There's a moment before almost every professional services firm founder, and it's usually somewhere between $1 and $3 million in revenue, where the same thing that got you to that point actually starts working against you. You're good at winning clients, and I mean genuinely good. You know how to read the room, ask the right questions, and handle objections before they're even raised. You close without ever feeling like it's closing, and clients trust you immediately. Your conversion rate is strong. The problem is that none of that is actually written down anywhere. It lives in your head, in your gut, in the 15 years of pattern recognition that you've never had to articulate because you've always been the one in the room. And when you try to grow, you bring on a business development person. It's the natural next step. Or a second partner who's supposed to help with client acquisition. Or you start generating enough leads that you just physically can't be on every first call anymore. It's a great problem to have, but it all falls apart. And not because the new person is bad at sales, but because the founder's sales instinct is genuinely impossible to replicate when it exists only as instinct. Today, I want to talk about what it actually looks like to extract that instinct out of your head and turn it into something that the rest of your firm can use. Because this is one of the most common and most fixable growth ceilings that I see in professional services businesses. And almost nobody addresses it until they've already lost 6 months and a good hire to it. When a professional services firm is young, founder-led sales is an enormous advantage. As the founder, you know the work intimately. You understand a client's problem better than any salesperson ever could because you've spent years solving it. You've got credibility before you even open your mouth. And when an objection comes up, something like, we've tried this before and it didn't work, you can respond with authority, with specificity, and with a case study from 3 years ago that just came to mind that maps exactly to that situation. But that's not sales technique. That's expertise in action, and it's extraordinarily hard to beat. But here's the flip side. That same depth of knowledge, the things that make founder-led sales so effective, is also what makes it nearly impossible to hand off. What happens normally is that as a founder, you hand your new salesperson a product, a loose pitch, and at best, a few recorded calls. You say, go and do exactly what I was doing. But that new hire lacks your authority, your relationships, and your depth of context. So deals stall, demos fall flat, client confidence craters. And as the founder, you conclude, must be the wrong hire. But usually we didn't hire wrong. We've dropped a competent person into a system that didn't exist and hoped for a magician. Now, magicians are irreplaceable, no question, but systems scale, and our job as the founder at some point is to stop being the magician and start building the system. Most founders, when I ask them to describe their sales process, give me a version of the same answer. We get a lead, a referral, we set up a discovery call, we try and understand their situation, we send a proposal, and maybe we follow up as well. But that's not a sales process. That's really just a sequence of events. What's actually happening in those conversations, the specific things that make your discovery calls convert at 60% when your competitors convert at 20%, is far more detailed than that, and almost none of it is documented. Here's what typically lives in the founder's head that nobody else in the firm has access to. It might be the qualifying questions that tell you within 10 minutes whether this is the right client. It's the specific way that you frame a problem back to that prospect that makes them feel genuinely understood. It's the 2 or 3 objections that come up almost every time, and the exact response that you know works because you've done it 100 or 200 times before. Or the moment in the conversation where you shift from listening to leading. The signals that tell you that a prospect is ready to move versus just browsing, and the thing you never say in the first call because you know it reliably kills momentum. Now, none of that's in your CRM. None of it's in the proposal template. It's in the 15 years of experience in doing it, and it's visible to everybody else in the room. The distinction worth making here is that between translation and bureaucracy, a sales playbook isn't just a motivational document. It's the written version of how revenue actually happens in your business. And right now, for most professional services founder, that version doesn't exist in written form anywhere. So how do you actually get this out of your head and into a form that someone else can use? There's 4 steps, and none of them are particularly complicated. So grab a pen and write these down, because they all require you to sit down and do them. Step 1 is record your discovery calls and let AI find the patterns. If you're not recording your sales calls, start today. Most CRMs worth using in 2026 have some call recording built in or integrate with tools that do. So turn it on for every call from now on. If you're doing them in the room, take your phone in and ask your client's permission to record the call. That's okay as well. Then go back through 10 of them, a mix of deals that you won and deals you lost. And listen, instead of listening through each one manually, run them through AI, Fathom, Gong, even a basic transcript feed into a large language model. Ask it, like, what questions come up on every winning call? What language does the prospect use when they're ready to move? And where do lost deals diverge? What you'll surface is patterns in just an afternoon that could have taken weeks to spot by ear. Things that you instinctively do in every successful conversation that you've never consciously named. Write them down. That's the beginning of your playbook. And critically, the output doesn't have to stay in the document on a desktop. It can go into your CRM. Call notes, patterns, objection responses, qualifying signals. If it's not in the CRM, it doesn't exist for anyone other than you. The whole point of this exercise is to get knowledge out of your head and into the system that the rest of your team can access, search, and build on. Step 2, and that's documenting the objections and your responses. Every professional services firm has the same 4 or 5 objections that come up on almost every sales call. Now, you know them. You've probably answered them 1,000 times. Write them out. Not the objection in theory, the exact words a prospect uses, and then write out the responses that actually works, the same language that you'd use in conversation. This alone, this objections document, is something the new business development person can learn from in a week and use from years. So step 3 is defining the ideal client in sales terms and putting that into your CRM. Most firms have an ideal client description for marketing purposes, right? It's an industry, a size range, a set of pain points. That description belongs on your website and in the automations that get a client to a sales call. What belongs in your CRM is a little bit different in sales terms. Your ideal client definition should answer questions that your team needs in the moment. What does a qualified prospect say in the first 10 minutes, for example? What signals tell you that they're ready to move versus still shopping? And what specific situation just happened to them that created enough urgency to pick up the phone or get on a call with you? That information, right, captured as a contact or a deal property inside your CRM, visible to everyone working a lead is what allows a new business development person to qualify well from day one. Without it, they'll treat every lead the same and spend half their time on prospects who were never going to convert. Your CRM shouldn't just be a place to store contact details and log calls. It should be the institutional memory of how your firm wins clients. Every qualifying insight, every pattern your AI tool surfaces, and every objection and its response, it lives there, not in someone's inbox or in a shared doc that nobody opens. Now, step 4 is not a script. It's a framework, right? The 5 things that need to happen in a first conversation in roughly the right order for it to move forward. Something like open by understanding your situation, not pinching yours, diagnose before you subscribe, reflect the problem back in their language, introduce your approach once they've confirmed you understand the problem, close the call with a specific next step, not an open-ended, we'll be in touch. Now, that framework, 1 page, 5 points, is what allows someone to have a version of your discovery call that actually works. It doesn't have to be identical to yours, but close enough to convert. Now, here's the uncomfortable bit. Most founders know that they need to do this. They've known for a while, and they haven't done it. Not because they don't have time, but because there's something quietly satisfying about being the one who can close, right? Being the rainmaker has status. It has identity wrapped up in it. There's a version of every founder who, on some level, doesn't want to hand this off, because being the person who wins clients is part of how they think about themselves in the business. And I'm not saying that's wrong. It's completely understandable. But at some point, that identity becomes a ceiling. The business that depends on you is a business that can't grow past you. And the business that can't grow past you is, in a very real sense, not a business. It's a job with staff. The goal isn't to remove yourself from the sales process entirely. It's to make sure that your sales approach doesn't live only in your head. Document it. Teach it. Let someone else run the first call while you run the business. Now, if you're at the point where you know your sales process needs to come out of your head and into a system, and you're not sure where you'll start, or you've tried and it's fallen over, that's exactly the conversation I'd want to have with you. Book a discovery call by heading over to winmoreclients.com.au, and we'll look at exactly what's happening in your sales conversations right now and what it would take to make that into a repeatable one that exists without you in the room every time. In the next episode, I want to talk to you about one of the most common and one of the most expensive mistakes professional services firms make when they hire a salesperson, and why that problem almost never turns out to be the hire. That's coming up. Until then, more clients, less effort.